In this episode of RENO Sundays, we're going to be installing some pot lights to go from this to this in less than 10 minutes. Let's go. Here's the list of things you'll need for this install. You're going to need an electrical wire, 14-2, some snips, staples, hammer, cutter or wire snippers, a Dremel tool or a hole saw, some pliers, wire connectors, and your pot lights. Let's start off by turning off your circuit breaker. Then, walk over to the room that you're going to be installing the pot lights on and start measuring the area of the seal. Use a tape measure or other measuring device to measure the size of your room. After measuring, plan the layout of your pot lights. Start by drawing the perimeter of your room, similar to the green lines on this illustration. Follow that up with your ceiling tile layout. This can be done as simple as pen and paper. I'm just showing this as an illustration. When planning out your pot light locations, typical spacing between pot lights is about 4 feet. There are many calculators online that you can use for this. Next, we'll start the rough-in for our electrical wiring. Hold the wiring through your ceiling, making sure there's enough slack for all the locations of your pot lights. This task may be tedious to some, so patience is required. You will need to go up and down a ladder and push and pull the electrical cord multiple times. Also, as with any electrical or rough-in work, make sure to check the building codes and apply for permits as required in your location. During the electrical rough-in, make sure to leave at least 6 inches of overhang. The more wires the better, to make sure that you have enough slack for all your pot light locations. After this is done, use your snips to cut the end of the wire. The next step for this install is to make sure that the electrical wires are secured to your joist. Grab your hammer and your staples and start securing the electrical wires. Again, make sure to check the spacing requirements from your building and electrical codes. You're going to need to repeat this process multiple times around the room. Now that we've finished securing the electrical wires around the room, let's focus our attention on marking the pot light locations around the room. We're going to be marking the center location for the pot lights. Use the diagram for the layout of the pot lights as a guide for this step. As mentioned at the start of the video, there are many calculators online that you can use for the spacing layout for your pot lights. The spacing that I use is 4 feet in between the pot lights and about 2.5 feet away from the wall. Now it's time to cut the holes for the pot lights. Typically, a hole saw is used for this step. However, I figured I'd try the Dremel tool since there's a lot of videos already online for hole saws. This will be a good alternative for the DIYers who already owns the Dremel. Use the cutting stencil that typically comes with the pot lights. This will ensure a proper fit for the holes that you make. Make sure to adjust the level arm according to the right radius. In order to cut the hole, you're going to need to align the center line of the level arm to the mark that we made for the pot lights. Turn on the Dremel and start cutting the hole. This may look intimidating to some, but it's actually simpler than it looks. If you're not comfortable, make sure to practice on a spare sheet. Now grab your pot lights and let's install it to the brand new hole you just made. Simply squeeze the spring hooks to allow for the pot lights to enter the hole that you just made. Be careful when installing these to make sure you don't damage the edge. Now simply repeat these steps for all your pot light locations. If you're finding value on the video so far, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to our channel. Now let's connect the electrical wire to the junction box of your pod light. You're gonna need the electrical wire, junction box, and a knife or a wire snippers if you have that available. Cut the sleeve of the electrical wire and start snipping the black and the white wires to attach to the junction box. After snipping, pull the wire assembly inside the junction box through one of the holes available. Insert the wires to one of the available 4 head clip connectors: white to white, ground to ground, and black to black. After this, push the quick connectors in and close the box. Now grab the ceiling tiles that we just installed the pot lights on. We're now going to connect this to our junction box. There's going to be a marker arrow found on the wires coming out of the pot lights. Align this to the tab that's found on the junction box wire. You're going to need to screw these 2 pieces together to make sure they're secure. Put the ceiling tile back in its place and remove the plastic covering the pot lights. Finally, let's now connect our new electrical wire to the power source. Again, it's very important that your circuit breaker is off for this step. To make this connection process simpler, take your pliers and straighten out the copper from the old wires hanging out of your power source. Grab your new electrical line and start connecting the wires using your twist wire connectors: white to white, ground to ground, and black to black. Now it's time to test our new pod lights. You're going to need to turn your circuit breaker back on for this step. Simply click your switch on and off and enjoy your newly installed pod lights. And that's it for this week's episode of RENO Sundays. Let me know what you guys think of this DIY pod light install. If you found value in this video, please hit that like button, consider subscribing, and press that bell notification so you don't miss any of our future videos. See you on the next one.